be mentioned as a negotiable copy of the document. If across the document it is mentioned as not negotiable, then that document is not endorsable. That document cannot be used to endorse the title to the goods. It should be commonly understood as a document of title to the goods. Now, a delivery order asking commission agent or bankers to deliver is one such document. At times, commission agent is issued an order by the owners of the goods, by the consignor of the goods, saying that please deliver these goods. Friends, this example does not mean that it is eligible for 6 to 6. What I am trying to say is an example which is commonly found in the business, where one can say that it is a document title to the goods. Angadiya receipt, friends. Is it a document of title to the goods or it is a delivery order? That is the point one will have to consider. Does endorsement, does the customer to, the other test for considering as a document of title to the goods is to see whether customer is asked to do further action to on the goods or further like action of making the payments, etc., and then claiming the delivery. If that is the case, then it is not a document of title to the goods, but it is mere acceptance or mere receipt of the goods. Now this is very, very fine point. Now this will have to be understood on the facts of the case, each case, whether the holder of that document is required to perform such act which will then eligible him to claim the document as a document to take delivery of the goods or to own that goods. In that case, mere acknowledgement of that goods initially is not a document of title to the goods. Today I have handed over you the goods, let us say 5 lakh of worth of goods, and you have acknowledged the receipt thereof. But I am supposed to pay you back the 5 lakhs which I have taken advance or I have taken loan from you against those goods. Unless I pay that and claim back that, till such time the receipt which I have for the goods of 5 lakh of rupees is not a document of title to the goods. It is mere acknowledgement of receipt of the goods. That is the fine distinction. We will talk about courier receipts. Now let's understand Angadiya receipt and courier receipt here. What does the Angadiya do? Let us say the goods are to be dispatched from Mumbai to say Ahmedabad. One would say 20,000, 30,000 kg, etc. The Angadiyas will take. More weight will not be taken. Let's say it is a small packet of say 5 kilograms, which the Angadiya is booked. So how does the Angadiya function? They will issue me a small note acknowledging the consignor, that is sender. They don't mention even consignor, they say sender, and the receiver, and from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, weight of the goods, value of the goods if it is declared, and if in some cases where it is insured, although the insurance there it is little unorganized way, but still there is insurance possible in Angadiya, and if it is insured it will mention as yes or no. That is all, and this is issued in one copy only. It is not issued even in duplicate. This receipt has serial number and the date. Now after handing over these goods, the seller will come back, will make an invoice on his buyer and mention the Angadiya's name, receipt number and date of it. He will nowadays the Xerox copy of the Angadiya receipt is attached and the invoice is sent to the Ahmedabad customer, maybe through a courier document or by way of scanning, etc. At Ahmedabad, on receipt of this invoice and this thing, either the Angadiya will directly go to the shop of the buyer, ask for the identification that he is the same buyer that who is supposed to receive the goods, and hand over the goods. If the charges of Angadiya are already prepaid, nothing is recovered. If the Angadiya is to pay, the Angadiya charges is collected from the buyer. This is how the transaction takes place. Now, Do you say this Angadya receipt is a negotiable instrument, a document of title to the goods? Answer is no. It is clearly no. Now, let's take the case of a courier company. How does the courier company function? Courier company also functions the similar way. They talk in English instead of Hindi or Gujarati. That is all. He will have a tracking system to track your document, and he will take a digital signature on the receipt. That is all is the difference. Otherwise, it is the same thing. Nowadays, we also have a cash on delivery system of courier. So it is quite possible that on receipt of the cargo, the buyer will have to pay first and then take the delivery of the goods. This is something like similar to a VPP parcel, post value payable post parcel. Now, this is what it is. Now here also it is not a negotiable instrument. Now there is a different school of thought. We say that Angadya receipt is a negotiable instrument because I can go to the Angadya company and endorse it and request the second buyer to take delivery thereof. Friends, this may be practically allowable in the business. However, technically speaking, legally speaking, it is not. Unless you will in a position to create a delivery order in between, which is acknowledged by the Angadya company. It is a very difficult proposition to say that it is a document of title to the goods, because it is mere contract of consignment of goods from one state to the another state, one place to another place. That is all. It does not talk about being the ownership of the goods which you can claim against that particular receipt of the goods. So friends, that Angadya receipt in my view is not a document of title to the goods. What is in transit? Now what happens is, let us say the goods are dispatched through a lorry receipt. The goods are dispatched from Mumbai to Indore. Goods are received there and it is unloaded in the transporter's godown. Now, normally what would happen, we just examine that the commencement and the termination of the journey is the handing over of the goods to the common carrier, the transport company, and taking delivery from the transport company. Now what happens, at Indore, the goods are unloaded at the transporter's godown. Still the journey is on. There is no termination of the interstate journey of the goods, because the goods have not been taken delivery thereof. Now one is inclined to enter into a 6 to sale transaction at this juncture also. Normally what is observed is, the transporters company normally allows around 15 days of time without charging any demurrage for holding the goods on behalf of the consignor or the consignee, as the case may be. During this period, one can definitely enter into a 6 to sale transaction by endorsement of the lorry receipt during that period. However, what has been happening is that the traders once again want to stretch this further. They will want to extend this thing to, let us say, 1 month, say 1.5 months, because he doesn't want to pay that local VAT, even if it is VATable. I mean, in different circumstances, the idea is not to go into that payment of VAT and claiming refund, etc., etc. So the traders are inclined to even extend this period from 15 days to say 1.5 months. Is it logical? Is it tenable? Will you have a successful claim? Will this claim be allowed by the department? Is to be examined. Now one will have to understand that it is a reasonable period. Let's understand, after 15 days, the transport company would, let us say, charge the demurrage. Who will pay this demurrage? On whose behalf these goods were being stored? Who is the original owner when these goods were lying there after beyond a reasonable period of 15 days? Friends, one would have to understand, after 15 days, the demurrage is on the holder of that lorry receipt. The LR holder is to pay the transport company the demurrage, then only the goods are dispatched. Actually speaking, after say 5 days or 10 days, the transport company nowadays telephone to the seller or the buyer, because normally the contact numbers are now mentioned in the invoice, because the LR is also accompanied with the invoice copy on the with the transporter, or at times when the road permit is also attached, there are all the more documents available to identify who is the buyer. Now the transport company would telephone to him, say उठा लो माल, 5 दिन के बाद बारिश आएगा, मुझे मत बताना, बहुत हो गया, 10 दिन से माल पड़ा हुआ है, मैक्सिमम 5 दिन के बाद में आपको per box, let us say 200 rupees is going to be damage. Now you have 2000 boxes, so this is going to be your damage per day. Now if this is the case, the buyer or the consignee is recognized as the owner of these goods in the trade. So that means the termination of the delivery is said to have occurred. Of course, once again, this is a trade term. There is no legal provision to conclude that, but such circumstances lead us to conclude that the interstate journey has now terminated, and the endorsement done thereafter of this reasonable period. I am not trying to say that 15 days is sacrosanct. I am just trying to give you an example. This is the trade practice which is observed. Now we have 114 SCC 598, wherein there was a case where the Delhi government tried to provide for a rule which says that endorsement after 40 days is considered as a termination of such delivery. It was challenged before the Delhi High Court, and the Delhi High Court held that such provision of 40 days etc. is not correct, is not valid. However, it did refer that although this 40 days is not sacrosanct, what it means is that reasonable days should be considered. So, I mean, if you are called upon to argue the matter, one may refer to this case 114 STC 598 to just to make out a case saying that 40 दिन तक चलता है. I do not know what will happen to the damage which was paid by you in your books of account. The liquid cargo. I am trying to introduce the controversy of the commingled goods here. Now, liquid cargo, let us say edible oil, which is stored when it is discharged. Let us say the tanker would move from, continuing with the example of Mumbai to Indore, tanker will go from Mumbai to Indore. At the Indore godown, it will be discharged into a common tank, a storage tank, a used tank, where it will be discharged. Of course, it will be discharged because it is a goods which is of similar nature, otherwise they will not discharge in the other tank. Let us say these are discharged into a homogeneous goods. Now, thereafter, the delivery is given in small loads. I had dispatched 10 tons from here, and thereafter I will give order to release 1 ton each occasion. Even though I have 10 LR representing 1 ton each, can I make endorsement of 1 ton in such cases? Friends, here we will have to consider section 18 of the Sale of Goods Act. Appropriation of the goods. In case of unappropriate goods, the transfer of property will take place on appropriation. Let us say if I have a heap of wheat, let us say 200 tons, out of which I want to sell 1 ton. Unless I remove 1 ton out of the heap of 20 tons, weigh it and separate it out, and then hand over the delivery of the goods, the transfer of property does not take place. Now, in the given instance, in a case of a liquid cargo, till such time that 1 ton was discharged from the common tank and loaded onto a smaller tanker, till such time, even if it represents 1 ton of the same LR originally moved in, still the transfer of property will not happen, and endorsement of such lorry receipt is not feasible. Friends, such issues have arisen in case of bill of lading, the high sea sales claim in Adani Exports, in Noble Resources, etc. Now here, the state has argued the same line, saying that in case of a commingled goods, the high sea sale is not possible because the transfer of property of endorsement of bill of lading would take place only when the oil is discharged on arrival at the importing port and then loaded onto the truck. However, here why the appellant succeeded? Because Bill of Lading is a special enactment, Indian Bill of Lading Act is a special enactment, and India is a signatory to the International Trade Brussels Treaty, whereby Bill of Lading is recognized as a document of title to the goods on board the ship. And since Indian Bill of Lading Act supersedes the Indian Sale of Goods Act, the appellants have succeeded in the tribunal. Of course, these two matters are before the Bombay High Court by way of a reference. What I am trying to say, in the issues before us, the lorry receipt is surely within the territory of India, and Indian Sale of Goods Act will have full play. Do not attempt to do that. Endorsement of the letter. Is it must? Now my friends, we are on to PNG, 19 PST 239 Supreme Court. Friends, we will have to consider some issues which the Honorable Supreme Court, I would not say failed to consider, were not required to apply their mind to. The reason being, the issue before the Supreme Court was not a sale or a claim under section 6.2, but the issue was which is the appropriate state in the matter, whether Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. Now in that view of the matter, certain observations which are made by the Supreme Court is to be considered. Now what does Gujarat High Court say in case of Haridas Mulji Thakkar? It says there could be a preconceived second sale. That means if goods are, let us say, going from Mumbai to Indore, I continue with the same example today. X of Mumbai is selling to Y of Indore, and Y of Indore request that you make the LR consignor X, consignee Y, account Z, Z of once again Indore. Now in such a situation, the second sale is a preconceived one. It is presupposing that the goods are going to go and deliver to Z of Indore only. Now in such a situation, what the the Gujarat High Court said in Haridas Mulji, that there is a constructive delivery. When the goods were being loaded, there were two deliveries happening. One by X to Y, and secondly by Y to Z. That time X was acting as an agent of Y, loading the goods on behalf of Y for the purposes of Z. Now that is what the Gujarat High Court's ratio is, because there were two deliveries which were synchronized in point of time. Synchronized in point of time. These are not my words. This is directly lifted from the High Court decision. They were together. They happened together. It occurred together at the same point of time. That means there were two deliveries happening together, and hence, even if in a case of preconceived second sale, endorsement is possible. It is considered as a deemed endorsement by Y to Z. Even if Y has not seen the goods, he has not even seen the LR in his name. It's quite possible Y would have given instruction to X by sending an email saying that please dispatch the goods on my behalf to Z, or they would have said simply make the LR consignor X, consignee Y, account Z. That is all is required under the trade practice. Friends, we do have Ajay Trading's case, wherein the Maharashtra Essex Tribunal has been confronted with this question of considering ANG's observation of the Supreme Court, but the tribunal has appreciated the decision of Gujarat High Court as also the Galiakotwala's decision, and has accepted the claim of 6-2. Now, on PNG, I can talk for half an hour, there is no difficulty. The issue is we have already a couple of studies recommending on this thing, so there is no point reiterating what my other friends would have said here. The important thing is, after the Ajay Trading, and also two important trade circular, one by the Andhra Pradesh government and the other by the West Bengal government. These have put up the controversy beyond any doubt, and the Ajay Trading Tribunal decision being having accepted by the state of Maharashtra, we need not worry. But at the same time, we should be aware about this controversial decision, so that if we are to advise our clients who are practicing in the which are having business in the other state, possibly this would help. Endorsement of the LR, we will continue further. Self LR. What do you mean by self? Consignor X, consignee self. Meaning thereby, goods are moving from Mumbai to Indore, consignor is X, and the same goods can be taken delivery by X at Indore. Now the issue is, can this LR be endorsed? What do you mean by self LR? The point of consideration here is, section 3B is envisioned only when the first transaction is a sale which is covered by section 3A, and the second transaction or the subsequent transaction in the chain of transaction is covered by section 3B. Now here, when the goods moved out from Mumbai to Indore, what did it say? It says consignor X Mumbai, consignee self Indore. That means the interstate movement has not occasioned because of a transaction of sale. If you agree to that, self LR cannot be endorsed. But you will come up and say, business में तो होता ही है. I have seen such 10 transaction. I telephoned to my chemical dealer and he said it is possible. I talked to my hardware dealer. This is the way it is done. Now let us understand how it is done and what are the precautions to be done, or what are the precautions to be taken. When the goods are dispatched as a self LR, you will have to create an evidence or bring into an evidence to show that there was intention of interstate movement as a covenant of a transaction of sale. Now, when is this self LR normally made? When you have not received the payment or you are apprehensive of the payment, you say that check आएगा तो मैं आपको LR दूंगा. However, today I am not cutting the LR in your name. Tomorrow, if your check clears, I will endorse this LR in your favor. So when he cuts an invoice, he will say seller X, buyer Y of Indore, and he will then mention the LR number, transporter's name and the date. Now when the check is cleared, he will endorse the self LR in the name and then hand over the LR to the buyer. If such an evidence is created, possibly there is a chance to claim this thing as a 6-2. Moreover, such transactions are normally conducted through a banker. Now, when banker claims the payments from the buyer, he will then issue a delivery order, similar to that BM Shah's case. He will endorse the self LR. Friend, in such cases, practically what is done is, the X of Mumbai will cut the LR as self, endorse the same on back of the LR, and send this LR to the banker with the confidence that banker will release this thing only to a person who will bring in the payments, and the name of the buyer is already mentioned. In such a case, there is a possibility of a 6-2 sale. Otherwise not. Because obviously there has to be 3 parties. If X and Y are both together, then 6-2 will never happen. There has to be X, Y and Z. Then only things will happen. It is a very difficult proposition, but I have noticed and I talked to a couple of my clients who said, वो तो होता है ना LR. Sir, आपने भी audit में last year देखा नहीं होगा, ये ऐसा ही था. This is what was the stock answer. I said I will take special care now in this year's audit. There. Doesn't matter, there is a little loose connection. Rebooking. Let us say goods are going from Mumbai to Indore, and Indore is in Madhya Pradesh, and then it is rebooked to Ujjain, once again in Indore, in Madhya Pradesh. can you have endorsement of the bill of lorry receipt and claim a 6-2 sale? Friends, let's look at here. When the goods were originally booked from Mumbai to Indore, the very fact or very conduct of the party to rebook it for Indore to say Ujjain would constitute intervening in between, taking the constructed delivery of the goods and rebooking it, because thereafter the transporter will act as an agent of the buyer to have rebooked the goods from Indore to Ujjain. Now in such cases there will be a notional delivery which is taken, and it will be a fresh contract of dispatch of goods from say Indore to Ujjain. In that case also 6-2 claim is not feasible and not possible. You have 18 and STC to refer to here. Splitting of the LR. We have heard about splitting of the bill of lading, but there are enthusiastic traders who would want to have a splitting of the LR also. Is it possible, or is the trade practice would allow it? Friends, I have not come across such a case where the LR is splitted up. First it was representing, let us say, 2 tons of the goods, and then it is split into 2 of 1 ton each. I have not come across, but if somebody were to do it, is it feasible? Let us look at it as an academic question rather than a practical one. To my understanding, there is no trade practice, and even if one were to do it, we have umpteen number of decision or litigation in case of split BL, saying to say that the split BL is not recognized. However, BL we have some different decisions to follow. I believe LR splitting would not help, because that would tantamount to intervening in the dispatch of goods and taking a notional delivery and rebooking them. This could be a case similar to the rebooking of the destination. Short deliveries. What happens? Let us say I am moving 1 ton from Mumbai to Indore. On receipt, he found that 500 kgs were short. He will issue me a debit note, saying that this is short receipt, and I in turn would pass a similar purchase returns note to my vendor. That is how the transaction would appear. Would it amount to a goods return? Answer is no. Because it is a case of a short delivery, it amounts to an unfructified sale for that 500 kgs. However, even if there is a 6-2 sale already happened of the entire 1 ton, this does not vitiate the claim in respect of the 950 kilograms. Or 9,500 kilograms, 950 kilograms as the case may be. Alright? There could be a case where the goods have been dispatched interstate. I have made endorsement of the LR, and the buyer, the subsequent buyer, does not accept the goods for whatever reason. I am not talking about a case where the goods were unloaded, on inspection the goods are rejected. I am not talking about that case. I am simply saying he declined to receive the stocks for whatever good reason. He says now the market is not favorable, I will not take the delivery of goods. He does not accept the goods. What would happen? Once again, it is a case of an unfructified sale. What will happen to the goods on receipt at the recipient state? Let us say at Indore, what would happen to the goods? This could be either returned by me to Mumbai, I will call back, or I will ask my agent there, or I will ask somehow to ask the transporter to keep the goods for some days. I will find another buyer and sell it. If it is sold locally from Indore, it is a sale local taxable under the MP VAT Act, and not as a 6-2 sales. Even if it is done within a period of, let us say, 15 days, it still continues to be a local delivery, because the buyer, say Y of Indore, has declined to accept the goods. Goods return. That is quite possible. Goods are accepted at Indore. Now they are returned. Friends, 6-2 was complete. That transaction was complete. Now it is a 6-2 goods return. It is quite feasible. Even if there is a part quantity received, For the balance quantity, it could be a valid 6 transaction. Of course, you will have to produce the documentation, required documentation of C and even form, but then it is a clear case of a valid 6 to 6 transaction allowable. There could be exchange of debit note, credit note, as the case may be. There are cases where freight is separately collected. Now, goods are moving from Mumbai to Indore. I will continue the same example. X raises the invoice on Y. Y now endorses the LR in favor of Z, and in the invoice which Y raises on Z, it also collects freight amount. Would it pose any challenge for the claim of 6 to 6? That is the point that I am looking at. Normally, the assessing officer consider these things as an intervention because you have paid this freight. आपको क्या freight भरने की जरूरत थी? Friends, that does not vitiate the claim. What happens is it is a trade terms which were between X and Y and Y and Z. We decided the pricing, and if Y has a term which is cost plus freight, it is cost plus freight, and he is allowed to collect the freight amount. However, just because